and welcome to my channel. My name is Favor, and in today's tutorial we are going to be learning how to make this cat ear beanie. The materials for this tutorial include some stitch markers, a tape, a measuring tape, alright, and then we'll be needing a yarn needle, of course, and a pair of scissors, alright. And then I'll be using a size 4mm hook. You can use any hook size of your choice. And then I'll be using this purple color of yarn. It's a fingering lightweight yarn, and that is what I'll be making use of in this tutorial. So let's get right into it. So I'll be using 2 strands of the fingering lightweight yarn, okay, because it is thin and I would like this cap to be thick. Okay, you can use a strand of a worsted weight yarn if that is what you have, or any yarn of your choice. So to get started, you want to take your hook, and then we are going to make a slip knot. So you place your hook on your yarn, twist around, yarn over and pull through that loop on your hook, okay. So and then pull on the tail. So there we have our slip knot. So to make our chain now, you want to yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook, okay, yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook, and just keep repeating that process until you have the length of chain that you need, which is going to be about 11 inches when you stretch it. So I am done making the chain, the length I needed for my cap, and it's about 11 inches. Okay, as you can see, as I'm measuring it, I didn't stretch the chain while measuring, so my cap ended up becoming too long. That's why I say you should stretch your chain while you measure, and make sure that it stretches to 11 inches. Okay, why we are doing 11 inches is because we are going to fold the brim up like so. Okay, so if you don't want to fold the brim of your cap, you can make it about 8 or 9 inches. All right, so once you have the length of the cap that you want, remember I said stretch your chain, okay, so that you will not end up having it long, because that was a mistake that I made. Next thing now is to block off that last stitch, and we're going to place our hand on that very last chain stitch there, okay, and we're going to chain 3 more chains, and these 3 chains is going to count as our first double crochet stitch. Okay, so after the chain 3, we are going to place a double crochet into the 4th chain from our hook, okay, which was that chain we blocked off. So yarn over, insert your hook into that 4th chain, yarn over, pull through. Now you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2. Okay, so now for that chain 3 space that we left at the beginning, you're going to place a stitch marker on the top of that chain 3 there, okay, and that is going to count as your first stitch, and the next double crochet is your second stitch. So for the next stitch now, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So this is our 3rd double crochet now. So you just want to keep making double crochets on top of every stitch like so until you get to the end of the row. So at this point, I'm towards the end of the row. I'm just doing the last few double crochet stitches. Okay, so I'm just placing the last double crochet stitch now, and after that, this is what our first row of double crochet stitches is going to look like. So next thing now is to chain 3, and then you turn your work. Okay, so that chain 3 is going to count as our first double crochet, just like in the previous round. Then we're going to work into that second stitch space. So yarn over, skip the first stitch space into the second stitch space there. That is where you want to place your second double crochet. Okay, so you're going to place a stitch marker on the top of that chain 3 that we have there, just like the previous row, and then yarn over into the next, you make your double crochet, into the next stitch you make your double crochet. So you just keep making double crochets on every stitch across all the way until you get towards the end of the row, and I'll meet you there. Now I'm towards the end of my second row, so I'm just placing the few remaining double crochet stitches. Okay, so remember, when you get to where your stitch marker is right there, you want to take it off and place your double crochet on the top of that first chain stitch. Okay, so like so. So try not to miss that chain stitch there. Okay, you can go ahead and count your number of stitches to make sure that you have the same on the first and on the second row. So next thing now, you chain 3, turn your work, and that chain 3 like before is going to count as our first double crochet stitch. So you skip that first, and into the next you make your double crochet stitch. Okay, remember, place a stitch marker on the top of that chain 3 stitches so that you know where to place your last stitch. So now you continue making double crochets on top of each of these stitches, just like we did for the previous row. Keep doing that all the way around until you get to the end of that row as well. So towards the end of that row there, okay, so I'm just picking my few last stitches, and when you get to where that stitch marker is for that chain 3, you're going to place your last double crochet into the top of that chain 3 like so. Okay, so now you chain 3 like usual, turn your work. Remember, chain 3 counts as your first double crochet stitch, so you walk into the second and place your second double crochet stitch into that stitch space, and don't forget to mark your first stitch, which is your chain 3, and then you want to keep making half double crochets, just like what we have been doing for the previous rows. So you keep placing half double crochet all the way around until you get to the end of the row. So you keep doing that row after row until we have it enough to wrap around our head. So currently my work is about 2 inches long, okay? So, and I'm going to keep doing that until I have the circumference I need, and for me that is about 22 inches, okay? So since my head circumference is 22, I'm going to take out 4 inches from it because our work is going to stretch. So when I take out 4 inches from it, I have 18 inches. So depending on the circumference of head you're working with, any circumference at all, just take out 4 inches from it, and the remaining one is what you're going to work up to, okay? So once you take out your 4 inches, for me 18 inches, you're just going to keep making your work row after row until it is wide enough to be 18 inches or enough to wrap around your head, okay? So now after making rows and rows of double crochet, this is what our work looks like. All right, so I'm just going to measure it. Remember I said I'm going to work up to 18 inches, okay, which is minus 4 of the 22 inches. That is my head circumference. So you can see it's almost 18 inches, and when we stretch it, it is going to be up to that 22-inch circumference, or even a bit more than that. Okay, so let's stretch it real quick to see how far it stretches. Okay, so this is it, starting from the top. I'm measuring without stretching, and I have about 18 inches. So when I now decide to stretch it, and I can see it is up to 22 inches. You can even stretch more than that, but 22 is fine. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do now is to fold our work over like so. So this is to enable us to, join our work together. So after you have folded your work, okay, we are going to join the top part and the open side. Okay, but before we join, we are going to place single crochets all the way on the border of that edge, okay, which is going to be the top of our cap. So from that place where we made our last double crochet, okay, we are going to be placing single crochet on each of the stitches until we get to the end of the other side of our work. Okay, so you chain one, and then into the top of that double crochet there, you're going to place a single crochet stitch there. So for that side double crochet there, we are going to be placing 2 single crochet into the middle of that double crochet stitch. Okay, so once you place your 2 single crochet into the center part where the 2 rows of double crochet is connected, you place another single crochet there. Into the side where you have your first double crochet there, you want to place 2 single crochet on top of the side, and then into the connecting part of your double crochet rows, you place 1 single crochet there. Okay, so on the bar part of the double crochet, you place 2 single crochet stitches there. So you just keep repeating this pattern all the way until you get to the end of the row. Like I said, on the bar part of the double crochet, you place 2 single crochets in between, and on the part connecting the 2 rows of double crochet, you place 1 single crochet there. So you just keep repeating this all the way around until you get to the end of the row. So at this point, I'm just doing my last set of single crochets, okay, and that's the last one. So after you're done placing your single crochets all the way across the top of that edge there, you're going to choose a wrong and a right side. So you make sure that your right side is inside and you fold it over like so. Okay, so this outer part you're seeing is the wrong side of my work. So now we are going to join this part of our work with slip stitches. Okay, so you want to join this first stitch to the corresponding first stitch on the other side. So you insert your hook into the very top first stitch there, yarn over and pull through. Okay, so that connects that stitch. So we are going to start joining now with slip stitches, and we want to make sure that we are joining each of the stitches corresponding to the same stitch on the other side of our work. So you pick the stitch from this side and pick the other stitch from the other side as well, and then you slip stitch through. Okay, doing it again, you pick the top of this stitch and pick the top of the next stitch on the other side, and then yarn over and pull through all loops on your hook. Okay, so we are just going to keep making slip stitches to join all those stitches on both sides of our work until we get to the end of that row. So at this point, I'm towards the end of that joining. Okay, you can see I've joined with slip stitch all the way towards that end. I'm just going to complete the remaining last couple of stitches there. Okay, so you just keep slip stitching all the way until you get to that very last stitch there. Okay, so this is my last stitch now. So after you slip stitch on that very last stitch, you want to yarn over, okay, chain one, and then pull up a loop and cut in between that loop, then take out the excess yarn. So we have joined this part. So remember, this is the wrong side of your work, and this inside is going to be the right side of your work. Okay, so now the next thing we would want to do is to join the top part of our work. The part we are going to be joining is that top where we made single crochets all the way across. So you can use any joining method you prefer. You can use slip stitch, or you can join with your yarn and needle like we're about to do now. So you want to take a long yarn about 15 to 20 inches long, and then you want to thread your needle with the yarn like so. So once you've thread your needle with the yarn like this, you now want to start sewing the top part of our work together. So remember, you're going to be sewing on the wrong side of your work. So now you want to pick this first stitch from this side and then the first stitch from the other side as well. Remember, you're just picking the top of those stitches. So you pull your yarn through, and then you want to knot the top of that very first stitch there to attach your yarn. So I'm knotting 3 times this way to secure my yarn really tight. And after you've attached your yarn, you now want to start sewing. Okay, so you pick the top of the next stitch and pick the top of the other stitch on the other side as well, and then you just pull your yarn through. Repeat the same process. Pick the top of this stitch, pick the top of the corresponding stitch on the other side, and pull your yarn through. So you just keep repeating this process all the way, picking each of the stitches on both sides of your work until you get towards the other end as well. So now I'm towards the end of that sewing. Okay, so I'm just joining the few remaining stitch, and for the last joining like that, you want to knot, okay, pass your yarn through that loop twice, as you can see what I'm doing, okay, to secure that end. So you want to repeat the same process again. Okay, so that loop there, you want to pass your needle through the loop 2 times and then pull up. That way you have tightened your work. Okay, so after you're done sewing the top, that remaining thread that is hanging there, we're going to weave it in. So you just take it as it's still on your needle, and then you're going to pick in between some of the double crochet stitches that we have. Okay, so you just pick in between the stitches. Make sure it is not showing on the right side of your work, which is the inside part for now. So you just push your needle through those stitches, and then you want to cut off the excess thread. So we have weaved in that part. So we are going to weave in for the other remaining places where we have threads or yarn sticking out. Okay, so you just want to take your yarn needle, and then you want to pick a few of the stitches closest to that thread that you want to weave in. Okay, so like I said, remember to pick in between these stitches. Okay, so once you're done picking the number of stitches that you want to weave in through, just push your needle through, and then you're going to feed your yarn through the needle like so, and then you just pull your needle and then cut off any remaining excess yarn that you have as well. So repeat that for all the other places where you have any yarn sticking out of your work. All right. So once you're done with your weaving in end, you can now turn your work inside out. Okay, so you want to make sure that you push that end really well so that it is pointy. So once you're done, you want to fold up the brim, and then your beanie is ready. All right, so that will be all for this tutorial. Don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. You can also check out my other videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next tutorial. Bye.